Hello, my name is Shegun Odoyebo. You're welcome to PSO Speak to Parent. It's important that we pay attention to the issue of bad order and how they affect the growth of our children. The position of a child in a family in terms of the number that child occupies in the bad order has been found out to have a significant effect on the child's personality, the disposition of the child, the expression of the child, and sometimes how that child takes opportunity. For example, it has been identified that there are key order, key positions in bad order. One is being the first child. Two, being the middle child. And when you say the middle, it can be any number two, number three, number four, as long as it's in the middle. The last child. And then you can also have a child as the only child, or you can have the twin. Now, researchers found out that if a child is number one, the first child, the tendencies are that parents could swing to either of the two poles. Pole one is a parent could load that child with a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of expectation because that's the first child, and so all of the anxiety of parenting comes on that child, all attention, and many times some of those parents want to actually prove that they want to get it right and all of that, and because they're experimenting with a lot of things, you put a lot of pressure on the first child, a lot of expectation and all of that. The second child, for example, the second pole, for example, is where the parent just say, okay, this is our first child, and so they give all of the attention, and then they are very careful. They just feel like, okay, so they treat the child like the king of the house and all of that. And so the implication is that if that child grows up that way, the child might become so domineering, so oppressive, because it's given the status of the king because it's the first child. But the other one, the child can grow up with a lot of need to prove a point to people, prove a point to friends, because there's so much expectation. You hear parents say something like, "Oh, you are the first child, you have to behave like the first child," and all of that. While that's not wrong, it's important that parents must learn how to balance handling the first child so that you don't load them with so much responsibility. Some firstborn are even made to take care of their younger one in such a way that the parent abdicate their responsibility and put a lot of that load on the first child, especially if they are female. And then when that child is growing up, that can affect the perception of that child. Because those are the children that grow up to become ladies that want to be strong, be supermen. They just want to do everything by themselves because they have been trained that way, and it has its negative implication because they always have a feeling that everybody's expecting them to perform, so they have to put up the performance because that's the way they were raised, because they're the first children. Now, the middle children, the children in the middle, either the third or the fourth or whatever, as long as they're in the middle, many times are starved of attention because their attention is either on the first child or on the last child, and so they are caught in the web of actually looking for attention because the attention is either on the first child or on the last child. And sometimes they are also caught in the web of trying to please everybody. They are trying to please the first child or please the second child or please the parents so as to get attention, because many times parents are careless in giving attention to the children across board. They either give it to the first child or they give it to the last child. And of course, the last child. Many times there's also double swing. There's the swing that some people actually feel, oh, this is our last born, and they overpamper the child, and they usually are seen as a spoiled brat. A lot of attention, showered with a lot of gift, and so many times they grow up not knowing how to do many things. They grow up having a sense of entitlement, because they expect everybody to do everything for them because that's how they were raised. And the other swing is that some parents who really want to avoid the trap of this other side, they would then allow the last child to be loaded with all of the responsibility. So the first child, sends this last child all the errand, the middle child, everybody, once they are older than him, especially in a family where they emphasize seniority, the tendencies are that the last born becomes the bearer of the bronze. The last one cooks for everybody, the last one washes everybody's plate, the last one does all the works in the house, and then when you are going to say, but you are the last one, and all of that. Now, the last one, the other one is that of the single child. When the child, either male or female, the tendencies are that parents are likely going to shower all the attention. Everybody's careful, okay, they don't want to offend this child. He or she's the only child, and they put all of the attention on the child. And then you can have a situation where they are twin. And for twin, usually the challenge is usually comparison. Parents have the tendency to compare the twin brothers or the twin sisters, and say, can't you look at your brother? Can't you look at your twin brother, your twin sister? Your twin sister is doing this, forgetting the fact that they have different composition, different DNA, and they are not likely going to be the same. Now, what's the way for parents? The essence of sharing this talk is to actually help you to see the need to treat each child as an entity, each child as an individual, a unique individual on his or her own. You should, as a parent, ensure that you provide the right breeding ground, the right environment, the right nurturing for each child, focusing on their uniqueness. And while there's a need to establish order, I'm talking about hierarchy, respect in the family, it must be done in such a way that does not pitch one child against the other. Neither should it be done in a way that makes one child feels that he's inferior, he or she is inferior to the other children. So the position that your child occupies in the family does not matter. What matters is that you must give them your due attention, give them all that you have to be able to make them see their uniqueness in their position in the family. Yes, there's need to, many times make the younger one respect the older ones and all that, but it must not be done in such a way that destroy their unique personality and overload them. Of course, the older ones, the firstborn should be made to see the need to take leadership role, leadership position, but it must never be done in such a way that over expectation is on them, and then they are overloaded, because it will affect their personality, it will affect their dealing with other people, it will affect their perception of life. I hope this helps you. As a parent, pay attention to how you deal with your children, because they are not other.